Let's go. Let's talk Packers. Our conversation with Aaron Nagler is sponsored by Miller Lite, Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There's a difference. And by Rogers Behavioral Health. Nagler is bouncing. He is happy. Saw his short video clip of him wheeling himself on an office chair into the picture, singing "The Bears Still Suck." How you doing, Mr. Nagler? What a Sunday it was, huh?
It's a beautiful day, beautiful Tuesday morning, talking to you guys. Still marinating in the victory over the Bears and the fact that the Packers are in the playoffs. I mean, what more do you need in life?
Nothing. And I was thinking today is the last day to kind of consume and to sip the last sips of Bear fan tears.
Yes, sir.
And we got to turn the page and get
delicious.
down.
Delicious.
I've seen a lot more fan videos, Bear fan videos, pop free. And some of them are pretty funny. Some of them, Nags, I swear, are a work. Not quite fake, but certainly staged.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You've seen some of those?
Some of them, yeah. Look, at this point, you have to lean into it a little bit if you're a Bears fan, right? I mean, what else can you do?
I suppose. I think people's desire to go viral is so now embedded.
Yeah, it's a very generational thing. Like, you and I don't have that pull. You know what I mean? Like, I have no desire to go viral.
No, we're old men.
Thank you. Exactly. But the kids, they all want to go viral.
Old men, as the
like, every once in a while, I'll have a tweet that like gets more than a couple thousand likes, and my kids thinks that's the coolest thing on earth, and I'm like, it's just annoying. Like, it's not fun. Yeah. Oh, Dad, that tweet got 5,000 likes. Like, okay, all right. I don't know.
And you have to ask, so what do I do with that? Where do I go get my coupon?
I know, right? Exactly. Like, okay, some people enjoyed what I said. Dope. Let's move on.
That being said, make sure to watch this live on our social media channels. Talking to Aaron Nagler right now on 97.3 The Game, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Check them all out. Yeah.
Go viral, baby. Go viral.
Yeah. We're doing this.
So live. here's one of a Bear fan. He's got his Bears leather jacket, beautiful big screen TV. He's standing 2 feet in front of the TV on a big play. There was the Aaron Jones run that basically sealed the game.
Right.
Okay.
Come on, run. There we go. No, man. What is you doing?
His girlfriend popped a confetti thing with orange streamers. Nice touch.
Definitely.
Yeah.
She then plays it dumb, like, you won, right? And it's 1:37 seconds. She goes on to ask the dumbest question after the dumbest question, like, well, there's a game next week, right? No. Well, can't you just root for the Packers then? No. And he patiently but annoyedly has to try to correct her. Here's why I know that video is a work.
Right.
Not a single swear word in it, Josh.
Yeah.
Not a single
it's also
swear word in it.
Because it's a work.
But
who knows? Who knows? And people are trying to have she's obviously trying to have her fun if that's real. You know what I mean? Like winding him up.
Right.
Clearly.
And if he's a real fan, he shouldn't participate in that. He should be genuinely pissed off to the point where he's like, I'm not doing these skits just to go viral.
Do you remember when Justin Harrell was drafted? That might have been before you were on the scene, Czabe, but Justin Harrell got drafted by the Packers, and we had, back in the day, one of the most genuine, before viral was a thing, like viral videos of these kids in their basement, like cursing out Ted Thompson. Like, at one point, one of the kids calls him a Nazi. Like, it was awful, but also hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, they have a complete meltdown because the Packers drafted Justin Harrell. It was incredible. It was much more organic than what you just played. I'll tell you that.
Actually, no, he was Iowa, wasn't he? Justin Harrell?
2007. I've wiped it from my memory, Czabe. I'm trying not to remember the days.
He was the 16th overall pick in the first round. Speaking of picks, so I was talking yesterday about this draft by Goody, and it's a monster draft.
Come on.
8 of the top 10 picks have played 15 or more games this year and have contributed. Like this is
Like
unheard of production.
right?
Significantly, right.
Yep.
And it's one thing when you are young and you've got a lot of cap burden, so you have to play these guys and they stink and you're 4-13.
Yep.
But these young guys are contributing. It's an incredible draft. It may be the greatest draft in the last 50 years in Packers history.
I mean, it's certainly in the conversation. I mean, we'll see how they end up. And here's the other thing. Like, I always preach the other side of this. Like, when drafts are disappointing initially and people are up in arms about it, I always say you got to give drafts a little bit of time, a little bit of growth, see what happens. You got to say the same thing for this class. Like, I'm very excited, obviously, that they have been as productive as they have been right out of the gate. But that's no guarantee that this is going to be a linear thing where they continue to grow and continue to get better as a group, right? Some guys will rise and fall. Some guys will have struggles. But initially, yeah, this is a really exciting draft class, the type of class that you can hopefully utilize as your foundation, right? Your foundational kind of, we've built our, the core of our team via, I'd say, this draft and the last draft. These last two drafts have been pretty damn good from Gutekunst.
They've been really good. Reed and Wicks, amazing. Colby, Wooden, and Valentine, also bonus babies.
Yeah,
who are out there making plays.
Balling. Day 3 guys.
Which is tremendous. All right, question. What saved this season? Because certainly at 2-5, it was grim.
It was.
Certainly after the Buccaneers evisceration, it was grim. What saved the season?
What can you point to other than Matt LaFleur? You know what I mean? Like, everyone wants to get emotional after a loss or a string of losses, and they fire up their Twitter machine and are like, fire the coaches, cut the players, blah, blah, blah. And that's always kind of the answer out externally, right? Matt, for whatever faults he may have as far as game management goes or usage of timeouts or what have you, man, the way he is able to kind of set the course and not panic and overreact to things. I mean, everybody was ready to fire Joe Barry after the Buccaneers game, understandably so. Very frustrating game. Matt was like, nope, we're gonna work on this, and we're gonna get it right. And lo and behold, remember, Matt was asked after that game, like, what do you need to do? And he said, I need to get more involved on the defensive side. Well, between the Minnesota game and the Chicago game, it really looks like a pretty different defense. Not wholesale changes, but the approach has been a little different, and it's been effective. And you go back to when they were 2-5 and how, man, they couldn't pick up a first down in the first half of games, let alone score points. Matt didn't panic. He didn't say, okay, we got to dumb down the playbook, because he knew that the whole gig here is about Jordan Love, right? Jordan knows the offense. They needed to bring these young guys along that we're talking about, these rookies, to get to a point where they could operate as a well-oiled machine like we have seen over the course of the last 2 months or so. He felt pretty strongly, obviously, that they were going to get there. And the fact that he didn't panic, he didn't make monster changes to the scheme, he just kept coaching them up. They've come a long way in a very short time. And I'm sorry, I know people, again, have their misgivings about him as a coach, but you have to give him credit for this. There's no way you can sit here and look at the totality of the season, especially now that they're in the playoffs, and not say, man, Matt LaFleur is doing a hell of a coaching job.
Nags, is Joe Barry safe regardless of what happens in this game against Dallas? Is he going to be back?
I don't think so. I think there's a decent chance he's gone. And I know they have played better down the stretch here, but I'll be surprised, actually, if he is back. That doesn't mean a hill of beans. I mean, what I think and expect. The Packers stopped caring about that a long time ago. But, yeah, I think there are still, again, looking at the totality of the season, you can look at the defense and say, all right, yes, they turned it around. They got into a better spot, certainly, at the end of the year. But if the goal, and it obviously is to win a championship, how can you look at Joe Barry's defense over the 3 years he's been in town and say, yes, I have faith that that man and this scheme and everything around it is going to help bring a championship back to Green Bay? I don't see it. Maybe Matt does, but I highly doubt it. I think he shares some of the same frustrations that we fans on the outside kind of, experience every other game with Joe Barry.
Do we give enough hosannas and huzzahs to the O-line? Because
probably not.
The answer is we don't, but I also know the reason why. The average fan on the couch, and that would be me, doesn't have the capacity to really properly evaluate line play or know the nuances of it. But, man, they are getting it done, and they're very multiple. They're very flexible. There's depth, and there is rearrangeability due to injuries. That is a luxury.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about the job Butkus, the offensive line coach, has done. They're actually operating with a rotation at right guard still. I mean, they had been rotating at left tackle and right guard for about a month plus. And, you know, when you hear that, and I remember when I initially found out that, yeah, that's the plan, that's what they want to do, I thought that was insane. I thought it was absolutely insane. I mean, we've born and raised on football, you hear so many times, and talking to guys who've played in the league, you've heard so many times how important continuity and cohesion along your offensive line is. Yet here are the Packers rotating left tackles, rotating the right guard position, and being successful. That's the thing that I think elevated Rasheed Walker's game. And I think you've seen Sean Ryan come along from what was a pretty disastrous rookie year to a really quality, well, could probably be a starter next season. I mean, they're pressing the right buttons here. And then I loved on Sunday when Zach Tom goes out with injury, Josh Nijman just rolls in and plays right tackle. The guy, some fans wanted to trade this offseason to save some like couple million on the cap. It's like, does anyone remember the Jason Spriggs years where the Packers would have a tackle go down and then Jason Spriggs would have to come in and the entire offense just fell apart? Like, that's why you keep Josh Nijman, so that when your tackle has an injury issue, you just roll him in there. A guy who has started for you multiple times, multiple seasons. Oh, what a luxury to have. Your offense doesn't skip a beat. That I'm telling you, especially along the offensive line, they have pressed the right buttons there.
Or you could have a Tevin Jenkins for the Bears who was thrown around. Like the guy standing in the wrong line at the DMV. Get out
my goodness.
You know?
Yeah, it's not making the highlight tape.
Nope.
Luke Butkus, for those who are wondering, yes, he is the nephew of the iconic Chicago Bear, nephew of Dick Butkus. He played at Illinois, and his coaching stops have included, of course, the Bears, the Seahawks, the Jaguars, and now the Packers.
The other thing I want to say about his work is they are killing it in the run game as of late. Now, obviously, huge kudos goes to Aaron Jones because he's special. But the way they have started to mix in like counter and power and this off tackle, straight ahead off tackle and in the inside zone pitch and all this kind of mixing and matching in the run game where earlier this season, none of that was happening because they couldn't handle it up front. Those guys are playing out of their mind now and playing much better in the run game. No question about it.
You give proper credit to LaFleur for keeping everyone on board, keeping all the oars in the water.
Yep.
And keep rowing despite the rough seas, just like what Tomlin did in Pittsburgh. You know, this is what the good coaches do. They keep everyone from going their own way. And I think the suspension, by the way, of Jair was huge. Boy, did they need to do what they did there. It sent the unmistakable message. Because look at how Jameis went rogue in New Orleans.
Right.
Like that's why you cannot let the players get the idea that this is just some, boys
out. It's just a suggestion. All these rules and regulations are just, happenstance.
Yeah.
Like they're there for a reason, guys.
Right. So give LaFleur credit for that, but also just, now he's got the task. I said this earlier in the show. He's got the task of subtly bending the narrative, Nags, to make it that we're not happy yet. Yeah. Why wouldn't we think we can go down there and beat them?
I know,
because that's what good coaches do. It's a tough task to do. The narrative is out there. The vibe is out there. But this is why McCarthy went at length. I'm sure you saw this saying, I am not talking about Green Bay this week. I did all that when we went there last year.
Yep.
And he says it took away from their focus.
Well, remember what he said after the game, because somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody in the local media asked him after they had gotten beat, like about his return to Green Bay. And he said, I'm all humble pied out. Like, I love that line. That is so good. He's like, okay, done that. I am over it. Like, it's done. All the reunited stuff, it's over. Because, I mean, to your point, it's hilarious how the pressure is completely on the Cowboys this weekend. Like the fact that if Mike loses this game, he is probably fired. Whereas on the other sideline, it's like, yep, we're here. Now, I don't want to keep saying like house money because I've already heard that phrase 4 million times in less than 48 hours. But the Packers are kind of playing with house money. So I'm in on it. I love this game.
Love it.
hey, even though it's house money, it's money we want to keep. So
That's
don't
right.
just do something dumb here. Let's make a smart play here. And yeah, it's going to be.
They got a better than a puncher's chance in this game, Zabe. I'm telling you.
Oh,
they got a real shot to win this one. No question.
They beat kind of the same Cowboy team last year with a Rodgers who is playing below the level of what Love is now.
Correct.
And with fewer weapons.
And they did that by running the football. Run the football at these guys. You have to do it. You cannot let them tee off. Got to do it.
Oh, and I'm sure you know the numbers on 33 against the Cowboys.
Oh, he's living legend down there in Dallas.
Texas kid coming back to haunt him. All right, Nags Cheesehead TV is the place to be 24/7, 365. But more importantly, today at noon, right here on the game, carry the G Radio, yourself and Billy Schmid, all things Packers. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you next week.
Aaron Nagler.